I guess we're going to talk about the Dallas mayor who's still pushing for the Chiefs to relocate to Dallas, which I can't imagine a world where you've got two teams in Dallas, only from the standpoint of with Jerry Jones as the owner of the Cowboys and how he built up that franchise and how he's built up really, if you go back to the NFL and Jerry Jones' influence on the NFL building up to this point, I can't imagine he's going to want a second team around Dallas. I cannot see that happening.
I agree.
And so I'm a bit surprised that you've seen an outspoken mayor there in Dallas talking about having the Chiefs down there because they're having an issue getting the funding necessary for a new stadium in Kansas City.
I mean, does the mayor have beef with Jerry Jones? I mean, why would you do something that would undercut the moneymaker in the market? I mean, they have not only the Dallas market cornered, they have sports in general and entertainment cornered. If you bring Kansas City there, and with the run they're on, like, first off, that it devalues just the presence of them being there. But then the fact that they're actually Super Bowl champs and contenders, I think that further devalues it. But then you got to take it a step further. There will come a point in time where Andy Reid doesn't coach them anymore.
Right.
There will come a time where Pat Mahomes doesn't play for them anymore. What if they slip into mediocrity? So now you brought this team here because, you're so enamored by what they are now, but you're talking about that's a big deal. That would be a big deal. And while Dallas is a big enough market to handle probably two teams, I don't see how it wouldn't be big enough to handle two teams. I think that is definitely, that would be a poor decision on the mayor's part. And I think that it would be more damaging than to me being more of an asset to bring in another football franchise in that market.
So you're saying Kansas City is only a Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid not being there away from being irrelevant?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you?
I mean, we've kind of witnessed that so far
in New England.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, technically, once Tom Brady left, things started going downhill. So
Okay.
Maybe you don't even need to include the coach necessarily, even though obviously Andy Reid's up there in age. So that clearly plays a role. And obviously the Chiefs, before Patrick Mahomes, were making it to the playoffs. Very different than what Bill Belichick has experienced since Tom Brady went to the Tampa Bay Bucs and since retired.
It's the shade, man. That's so much shade. Like, well, we can't win a Super Bowl with the team and the owner that we have right now. There's one available that does. They win Super Bowls. Let's bring the Kansas City Chiefs to Dallas. The Dallas Chiefs. Like, what? It would be interesting, though. Chiefs, you still go back to Cowboys and Indians. I mean, I know that's like not proper anymore for some strange reason, but that would be interesting. You have Cowboys and Chiefs in the same market. So there you go,
and again, they're looking at this as a return for the Kansas City Chiefs to Dallas.
Yep.
So that's how he's kind of phrasing it. Eric Johnson, by the way, who is the Dallas mayor, that's how he's speaking about it, considering the Hunt family and their ties back to Dallas. I would say this, it is a very Jerry Jones-esque move by the mayor of Dallas. Like, Jerry Jones, if he saw this sort of opportunity, wouldn't he take it? Of course. Of course he will.
If it was benefiting him.
Yeah, exactly.
But dang, I have to send some people to pull up on that mayor. Like, hey, look here, young cuz. Hey, little young buck. Hey, let me talk to you for a minute, man. Like, all this talk about doing, yeah, you need to stop that. Like, cut that out. That's if I'm Jerry Jones, I just got to send a couple goons over to like straighten this out real quick, man.
Well, look, he knows the history. This was a franchise that started in 1960 in Dallas. It moved to Kansas City in 1963. So I think he, again, going back to the Hunt family and their roots being there in Dallas, would make some sense. But he's reportedly, and he's been quoted as saying, our market's big enough, growing enough, and loves football enough to support a second team, especially a franchise and an owner with deep roots here, referring to Dallas.
That's shade. I mean, there's no – Q, is there any way to get around the idea that shade if I'm Jerry Jones. That's shade.
It's not, but you have to acknowledge the fact that the Chiefs president, Mark Donovan, has said that the team will have to do its best interest of the franchise. When talked about the loss of the stadium renovation vote,
yep.
Kind of leaving things in doubt. So once I think Mark Donovan made those comments from the Chiefs side of things, it opened the door to
better negotiations. It's better negotiations for them. They got leverage now. When you have somebody else out there that wants you, people, nobody wants the person that nobody wants. But when somebody else, you're showing interest? Well, why are you? They were showing interest in me, but I wasn't interested. But wait, maybe now I'm interested. Am I interested? Okay, yeah, I'm interested. Let's figure this out. Let's figure out how to make this work. That's what Kansas City has now. But I still, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm in my feelings, man. Well, I'm in my feelings.
That might be the case, but I will say this in regards to politicians: anytime they get involved, all right, it's usually self-serving. So in this particular case, if he is able to lure the Kansas City Chiefs to be another team in Dallas, if they can't figure things out in Kansas City, he would be running on that. If he doesn't, he's just going to say, well, I tried. And the Kansas City put forth a better plan, or the Chiefs wanted to stay in Kansas City. So either way, it always boils down to some sort of self-serving interest. So
how far is Kansas City from Dallas?
It's not that far. I want to say a drive. I mean, Lee could probably look this up since he is our resident.
How far of a drive
road warrior?
It's an 8-hour drive.
Yeah,
it's a short flight, though, right?
I'd assume,
an hour and a half?
Yeah, I'd assume that's about exactly right.
I mean, could you imagine?
505 miles, by the way.
Like, the fan base would travel really well, but, man, you got to travel. People are going to relocate. They probably have such a crazy fan base at this point. They're going to relocate to Dallas. It would be if I'm the mayor, I'd be like, man, look at what I did to our economy. I boosted this bad boy. We got real estate going up. We're creating more jobs. I would assume. I just would think that would be so much stimulus if you brought in a winning franchise like that. But man, what would that mean for Kansas City? That just seems strange, man. You'd have to assume that they're like a lifeblood for that area. What else do they have? What else does Kansas City have?
Well, they've got a baseball team. They've got
the Royals.
Team.
Who's there? Okay, who's their hockey team?
They don't have a hockey team. They do have an MLS soccer team.
Okay,
so I think it's Sporting KC, if I'm not mistaken. So,
man, bye. Goodbye, Kansas City. Goodbye. If y'all ever lost the Chiefs, goodbye.
Well,
goodbye.
That is an opinion on its own. I want to be very clear. That was LaVar Arrington who just said that.
That was me. Goodbye.
I personally, there's a diehard fan base there. I feel like they'll figure this out. I do think, though, it's getting to a point where owners have to start footing the bill for some of this. When you're talking about a sales tax increase, you're putting it essentially on the residents there, the consumers. I mean, tickets are expensive. Everything's expensive. Concessions are expensive. Yeah. The apparel to wear to go to the games is expensive.
Yeah.
You're putting people in a tough spot where they keep trying to milk the fan more and more and more. And at some point, these owners who are making millions upon millions, especially with the new TV rights media deal, especially with everything else that's kind of come along with, the gambling industry being a part of it as a partner. This league is extremely healthy. I don't think we always have to look when there's stadium renovations to get things passed so that the public helps, has to pay a portion of this. I understand the economic stimulus it'll create, but it seems a bit unfair. At some point, it's your team, it's your stadium. Build a stadium. Find some cheap land somewhere else if you want to build it. But I don't think you need to keep coming back to the fan and the consumer to pay their share into it. PSLs are getting even more expensive. Ask the folks in Buffalo. They'll tell you that right now. I mean, at some point, enough is enough. And speaking from the fan side of things, it gets too expensive, in my opinion. So.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I definitely can see that this never happening. There's no way
There's not a
Kansas
chance.
City doesn't have their kids there or has that team there. I don't see it. I don't see that.
Yeah,
but it's great for conversation because now it creates beef one way or the other. I'm like, look, hey, Cowboy Nation, let's boo this man. Every chance we get, let's boo this man.
Every single chance.
Every chance we get, boo this mayor.